Welcome to another episode of Am I the Bad Person? Not really what it's called, but we keep it family friendly. So am I the bad person for telling my husband that I would have never agreed to have his child if I knew he would go back on our agreement? So I, 30-year-old female, have been married to my husband Jake, 35-year-old male, for 6 years. Before we had our son Ethan, who was a 2-year-old male. Jake and I made a deal. We'd share parenting responsibilities equally. Jake even promised to reduce his work hours so I wouldn't have to sacrifice my career entirely. Fast forward to now, and I feel like I'm doing everything. I work part-time from home, handle all the childcare, and still manage the household chores. Meanwhile, Jake works late and spends his evenings gaming or relaxing. Whenever I bring it up, he says I'm the one bringing in most of the money, as if that excuses the complete lack of involvement. So first of all, this is a short one, cool, but it really doesn't matter who's bringing in the money. It's not about money. That's not what the relationship's about. It's not what any of it's about. You made a deal. And more important than a deal, it's not so much that you made a deal and you have to stick to it, because that's how marriages work, is that if you say something, you need to be held to your word and blah, blah, blah. It's more about integrity and being trustworthy. Your word needs to be as good as gold. You need to be able to say something to your partner, and your partner needs to be able to take that to the bank. They need to be able to trust what you say. They need to be able to trust you, to believe you. It's really not about like holding you to your word like it's some kind of legalistic thing. It doesn't have to be a courtroom every time there's a disagreement in the marriage. You just need to be able to love each other, to respect each other, and to believe each other because you're both trustworthy. So him going against his word, it's just bad from that perspective. Last week, after another exhausting day of juggling work, Ethan's tantrums, and endless cleaning, I finally snapped. I told Jake, if I'd have known you'd break your promises, I would have never had a child with you. He was stunned and called me ungrateful, accusing him of not appreciating all he does. Now things are tense between us. Jake says I crossed the line, but I feel like he needed to hear how much his behavior is affecting me. Am I the bad person for saying what I said, or did I take it too far? Man, maybe. I don't know. So you're justified in feeling the way you feel. It looks like Jake put you in that position more than anything. I don't know how effective those words are at communicating your feelings. I'm all for the idea of understanding how you feel. You absolutely need to, but you shouldn't just say anything because of how you're feeling. So I really have to look at these words carefully to determine if saying that was bad. So just looking back at them, if I'd have known you'd break your promises, I never would have attached with you. Okay, upon looking at that again, it's really not malicious at all. She wasn't trying to hurt his feelings. That's not why she said that. She just meant it. That's just what would have happened. And it might be a bitter pill to swallow for Jake, but that's just true. At the end of the day, you wanted to have a child with him. It seems like you love him as your husband. It seems like you respect him. Well, I don't know. You probably respect him. You just wanted to have a child with him. You wanted to share that with him. But share is the key word because the responsibilities are not being shared. You can't just swap responsibilities at home with money and say, I bring in the money so I don't have to deal with anything at home. There's nothing wrong with the traditional setup where the wife handles everything at home and the husband brings in all the money. And if that's what you and your wife had agreed to do, that'd be perfect. And it looks like Jake was looking for that kind of a wife, but he wasn't honest with himself. He wasn't honest with you. So Jake really took an L there, and in so doing he gave you an L. So first comment, you're already a single parent. Nah, that's funny. That's actually pretty funny. She's not a single parent, and it's a very dangerous idea to share. She's definitely not a single parent. She just the husband just doesn't have his head in the game. He's actually just being very dishonest and not seeing where his faults are. Single parent is crazy. She's better off leaving him. Less mental load, and when he exercises visitation, assuming he wants custody at all, she gets a break. Let's be clear, he's a sperm donor, not a father. Wow, this is insane. So I'm gonna have to disagree with the comments for the first time, I think, because it's a big problem. It really is a big problem, but these guys are making it sound like there's no love in the marriage is dead, like nothing's going on in the marriage. It's a big problem, but if your marriage can't weather this kind of problem, a problem of this magnitude, then your marriage is in trouble, man, because this stuff just happens. Jake seems like a clear, bad person in this situation, but my gosh, everybody acts a certain way that they're not aware of. It doesn't sound like Jake is trying to be bad. So I would hope that if this was just brought to Jake's attention in a way that he could understand, then we could actually go from there and seeing that how he reacts when he actually sees it's a problem. Jake doesn't really know that he's doing something bad. It's clear to me and it's clear to you, but it's not clear to Jake. So Jake isn't trying to ruin her life and to stick her with the bill for the kid. kid in the terms of the work. He's not trying to do that. So to say that she's a single parent, to say that she's better off getting a divorce is just crazy to me. I mean, she's better off, they're both better off going for marriage counseling and parenting classes, doing that stuff and seeing how that turns out. This is way too early in the problem to be saying that she needs to get a divorce. Obviously, it's not like the beginning of the problem. This has been going on for a while for her, but Jake has not gotten it yet. Jake needs to be put in the position where he has to get it, and then we can talk about what to do. This is way too early to talk about divorce. So you need to choose. 2-year-olds are always challenging, and your husband is simply avoiding being a parent. That's true. He's just avoiding it. Doesn't mean to get divorced. Do you want to stay married? If you do, now is the time to look into childcare. Are there good preschools in your area? Your husband can pay for one since he makes so much money. You need immediately to start an emergency fund, so if things go bad, you have a financial pad to fall back on. You already know you can't trust your husband to step up, so maybe you should think about going back to full-time work. He's not keeping his agreement with you, so you have to decide how miserable you're willing to be or whether you want changes made. So I agree with some of the things here. Childcare might be a good option. If the husband really is making that much money, then just do childcare, it seems. I mean, it's way better to have one of the parents raising the children, but it looks like that's a pain for her. I really would, ideally, I think she should just continue to raise the child, but it seems like they need the money she's making. Maybe they don't. I really don't know. You should look at the cost of childcare, and if childcare is too expensive, then maybe it'll be less of a strain for her if she just quits her job and raises the kid. I mean, you have to consider the fact that it's tough for her. But, you can't just make things worse for the kid because your marriage is tough, because you have responsibility to the kid too now. So it's tough for her for sure. Things don't really go any better from here unless Jake starts to see what's going on here and starts to make changes for the better. She seems like a reasonable person. I would hope she married a reasonable person as well who has just a big problem here, and maybe she can talk to him and go through some therapy, and then we can see what happens. If it becomes a case where the guy's refusing to go to therapy, he's just refusing to go for counseling, I meant counseling, not therapy, then that's a bigger issue. That's a different issue than this. This is like nothing. We haven't gone very far in solving the problem. All she did was say she has a problem, and a lot of husbands who are not evil people don't really care or just get the message the first time their wife says that. So we need to see what is really going on with Jake, if he's willing to change when he sees how big of an issue this is or not. Either way, I would not look to divorce. This is way too early for divorce. I just don't recommend it. But the best has to happen for the kid, and we need to see, there's so many things that can be done to fix this. I think the first thing is therapy and see what happens from there. That's it for me. Bye.